Hi there, and welcome to this podcast from Adept English. Today, let's look at some alternative news stories. Not mainstream news, that usually makes people feel bad. It's usually awful. Let's look instead at some positive news stories, or at least interesting news stories. And all the while, you get to do your English language learning practice. I'll give you help with the difficult words, and you'll be learning nouns, verbs, phrases, all while listening to a current and relevant topic. What better way could there be to learn English? First story. Do you know the word hacker in English? That's H-A-C-K-E-R, or the verb to hack. A hacker is someone who uses their intelligence and their technical skills to get into, to access technology systems that they are not authorized to. And teenage hackers, you think of somebody between the ages of 13 to 19, probably a boy in a hoodie, in his bedroom, on his computer. He's quietly tapping away, but is causing digital chaos somewhere. And it's a problem which is taken very seriously, certainly in the UK. Earlier this year, 2 teenagers in the UK were jailed for hacking into London's TfL system, Transport for London. That's the system that manages all the public transport in our capital. It was a major cyber attack. But this story is a positive one. How so? Well, the UK doesn't just punish hackers. In fact, the UK has a rehabilitation program for hackers called Cyber Choices. The word cyber, C-Y-B-E-R, just means to do with computers and their networks. So Cyber Choices is a hackers rehabilitation program. What do I mean by rehabilitation? That's REHABILITATION, or rehab for short. Well, rehab is usually a program which helps someone return to a good, healthy and lawful life. Lawful means living within the law, and rehab is usually associated with alcoholism or addiction to drugs. Rehab aims to change people's behavior. Here it's about retraining brilliant young minds before they move on to more serious crimes. I'll give you an example. Joe Tidy is a BBC reporter, and he recently met a teenage hacker on the programme. He met 16-year-old Lucas, who lives in rural Cumbria. That's an area in the north of England. Lucas had hacked his school's computers twice. He wasn't stealing. He didn't intend anything bad. And in fact, he said it was like a challenge to see if I could do it. And it's quite a sense of achievement when you've succeeded in doing something that 2 or 3 trained professionals have spent a lot of time trying to stop you doing. So it's the challenge that's attractive. Lucas didn't mean any harm, but that didn't mean he wasn't in trouble. His mother rang the police and invited an officer from the Cyber Choices program to come to their home. It's not lack of intelligence. This is great intelligence, just with nowhere useful to go. The police officer, P.C. Cooper, who came to the house to see Lucas, has been helping him ever since. He checks what software Lucas is using and makes sure it's all legal. But more importantly, P.C. Cooper took Lucas to visit the local university and supported him to apply to their cybersecurity course. That's redirecting someone's intelligence towards something constructive and positive. P.C. Cooper says that most of the teenagers in the program are what we call neurodiverse. That's neuro, N-E-U-R-O, and diverse, D-I-V-E-R-S-E. If you're neurodiverse, it means your brain works differently to most people's. So it might be autism, ADHD, or dyslexia. But with clever teenage hackers, it is often autism and what we call high functioning. So they are super clever. But the autistic mind sees the world differently and doesn't follow rules. results. However, it's not an excuse for breaking the law. The two teenagers who went to prison for the TFL hack I mentioned were also autistic. The Cyber Choices program is doing really good work. What's better for everyone in society? A young person with a brilliant mind in prison for hacking, or a young person with a brilliant mind training to be a cybersecurity expert to protect our digital infrastructure? Not difficult, is it? So the National Crime Agency in the UK runs this Cyber Choices programme, and they've worked with more than 1,150 people in the last 8 years. Paul Foster, who works for the organisation, says, if we didn't have Cyber Choices, where would they get that input? This is a brilliant example of people being seen, recognised for who they are, and some allowance made. Putting bright autistic teenagers in prison for hacking, well, that's not a good outcome. But giving them opportunity to develop their skills and talents, to put to good use, and be rewarded, well, that's much better for everyone, isn't it? Well done, the Cyber Choices programme, and those who thought of it. If you're enjoying this and you'd like more episodes to listen to, ad-free with 8 extra episodes a month, go to our website, adeptenglish.com, and sign up for our subscription service. Subscribe. It's designed to give you more listening practice, and our listeners find their English improves much more quickly. adeptenglish.com. That's where to go. News story 2. Trinidad and Tobago. 2 islands in the Caribbean. Between the 14th and the 26th of May this year, something extraordinary happened. And this is at the Community Hospital of the Seventh-day Adventists in Cocorite. That's Cocorite. 3,000 people at this hospital had their eyesight restored for free and in just 12 days. Apparently, this church partnered with 2 non-profit organisations, Hands International and Eyes for India, and they tackled a massive backlog of eye surgeries at the hospital. A backlog, B-A-C-K-L-O-G, it's a build-up of work or cases, things or people waiting to be dealt with. And usually this happens because there aren't enough resources, there aren't enough people, or there isn't enough money. So many of these people had been waiting for years for eye surgery. The main condition that they were treating, cataracts. That's C-A-T-A-R-A-C-T. A cataract, that's when the lens at the front of your eye becomes gradually cloudy, and your ability to see, your sight, S-I-G-H-T, becomes worse and worse over time. Cataracts happen to people with age. Dr. Reynold Agard, who is from Tobago originally and now leads Hands International, described it as trying to look through a frosted bathroom window. Living with cataracts means that you can't see people's faces properly, colours fade, and nighttime driving becomes impossible. But for many people in Trinidad and Tobago, the cost of surgery was prohibitive. That's Prohibitive, meaning they simply couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to have cataract surgery, even though it's a fairly simple procedure. So a team of volunteers, that's people working for free, brought in an eye specialist, Dr. Jacob Prabhakar from Eyes for India. He's developed a high-volume cataract surgery technique. High volume means he does it quickly. He can do surgery on a lot of people in a short space of time. In fact, Dr. Prabhakar can perform cataract surgery in under 4 minutes. This meant the team could do over 450 procedures in a day. And the Seventh-day Adventist news service captured people's reactions after the surgery. Dr. Agard said, everyone cries. They're crying with happiness. They can see colours clearly and they can see their grandchildren's faces again. I must admit I do have reservations about churches like the Seventh-day Adventists. We're quite suspicious in the UK of some of these religious groups in America. But I have to admit on this occasion, it sounds like they've done really good work in the world. they've done a truly wonderful thing here. Just think of the total effect of all these eye surgeries. 3,000 people helped to see in 12 days. Don't forget, if you're finding this useful and you're picking up vocabulary, words and phrases really well, why not take one of our courses? We've got structured programs at adeptenglish.com which will build your English step by step. It's a brilliant complement to the podcast. If the podcast is difficult for you, then try our most common 500 words course. And if you just want to elevate your English conversation, then take our course, Activate Your Listening, all on our website at adeptenglish.com. Okay, our final news story for today, Wednesday, 12th of August. If you want to see a solar eclipse, in certain parts of the world on this day, you are in for a spectacle. That's spectacle. And it means something worth looking at, something worth seeing. What's a solar eclipse? Well, solar, SOLAR, means of the sun, and an eclipse, ECLIPSE. That means when the moon comes in front of the sun and blocks it out. So in the UK this time, it is a partial eclipse of the sun. Partial, PARTIAL, means not complete, only in part. For a total eclipse on the 12th of August, for it to go completely dark, you'll need to be in Iceland, Greenland, northern Portugal, or northern Spain. And northernmost regions of the USA and Canada will also get to see a partial eclipse. I have to tell you here, I have seen a total eclipse. There was one in the UK in 1999, and we drove down to Devon and stood in a field to watch it. It was the weirdest experience. It went completely dark in the middle of the day for several minutes. Certainly something I will never forget. So if you have the chance to see the full eclipse, then do. How much of the sun will be covered depends, of course, on where in the world you are. In the UK, if you're in the far southwest, you'll get the best partial eclipse. The Isles of Scilly off the coast of Cornwall, well, the sun will be 96% covered if you view from there. Even up in Edinburgh in Scotland, you'll still see 90% of the sun covered by the moon on the 12th of August. So in the UK, we should see something dramatic in most places. What time do you need to look? Well, it'll start just before 6 p.m. British Summer Time on the 12th of August. The maximum eclipse is about 7:10 to 7:15, and by 8 p.m. it'll be all over. If you want to see the eclipse, you need a southwesterly view. You need to see the horizon. That's HORIZON, facing in a southwesterly direction. No buildings, no trees in the way. And so that you don't damage your eyes, you need a pair of eclipse glasses. Or you could make what's called a pinhole projector. You can make that at home, but look online for instructions. It's important to view the eclipse safely. But what a treat! I love an eclipse and I'm looking forward to the 12th of August. Notice the vocabulary that we've picked up along the way today. Hacker, cyber, rehab or rehabilitation, neurodiverse, backlog, cataract, surgery, and eclipse. These are useful, advanced English words, but you've just heard them in context. You've heard them being used. That means you will remember them, pick them up naturally, the way your brain is intended to learn a language. Don't forget to listen more than once.